everybody can see my screen. If not, let me know. So we're reading from this chapter, I will build a wonderful temple for you. And we are pretty much at the end of this chapter. So that's chapter 39.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we cannot see the screen.
Can't see?
No.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Is it better?
Yeah.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada had the extraordinary ability to bring a spiritual vision into physical reality, to change a part of the material world into spiritual energy so that even a common man could perceive the spiritual reality. This was Prabhupada's constant effort. Often a transcendentalist hesitates to deal with the material world, fearing he may become spiritually weakened. The Vedic injunctions therefore warn the transcendentalist to avoid associating with money and materialistic persons. But Prabhupada, following the principles taught by Srila Rupa Goswami, saw that everything material had the potential of being used in the service of Krishna and thus of regaining its spiritual nature. Following this principle, an expert devotee, although apparently acting within the material sphere, could remain always in touch with the spiritual energy. For such a devotee, nothing was material. In the Vedic scriptures, the great devotee Narad Muni, because of his ability to convert materialistic men into devotees, is referred to as Chintamani, touchstone. Just as Chintamani is said to convert iron into gold, so Narada could transform a beast-like hunter into a pure Vaishnava. And as Narada is glorified in the Vedas for accomplishing such feats in bygone ages, so Srila Prabhupada is a similar potent touchstone in the present age. Again and again, he showed by his straightforward application of Krishna consciousness that he could change a materialist into a completely renounced, active devotee of the Lord. And now, after recruiting a number of devotees from Maya's camp, he wanted to engage them in transforming as much as possible of the material world into living spirit. By his transcendental visionary words, he was attempting to convert stone and human energy into glorious spiritual temples. While ambitious materialists sometimes criticize transcendentalists as unproductive, Srila Prabhupada, because of his constant activity, could never be so accused. Rather, people would criticize him as being a capitalist in the dress of a sannyasi. But such criticism never deterred Prabhupada. He was carrying out the desires of the previous acharyas. He had written this conclusion in his Srimad Bhagavatam even before coming to America in 1965. Prabhupada quotes. Therefore, all the sages and devotees of the Lord have recommended that the subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada wanted to convert significant portions of the material world into the spiritual world. In attempting to construct a spiritual city in Juhu, he realized he was launching a major attack against Maya. Within a few months, so many complications and headaches had already disturbed his plans, and more would come. The battle was just beginning. Sometimes Prabhupada's disciples found the work to be draining and stressful. They would become bewildered. They had come to spiritual life for bliss, not for anxiety. Prabhupada's presence and his constant encouragement helped them remain steadfast. He knew that once they tasted the nectar of selfless dedication to Krishna, they would never accept anything lesser. He would encourage them, reminding them of the words of spiritual predecessors like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who had said, "Difficulties undertaken in the course of your devotional service, I will consider the greatest happiness." Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Introduction of this chapter. Screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Shrimad Bhagavatam Puranam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam परम गीयते तत्र ज्ञान विराग भक्ति सहितम नैष्कार्म्यमाविष्कृतम् तच्छृण्वन् सुपठन् विचारन् अपरो भक्त्या विमुच्ये नरः भक्त्या विमुच्ये नरः भक्त्या विमुच्ये नरः श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. So today reading from Canto 5, Chapter 19, text 29, 30. We'll also cover 31, and that will complete this chapter, chapter 19. All right, so this is not a metered verse. We can just recite it in prose format. श्रीसुका उवाच जम्बूद्वीपस्य च राजन् उपद्वीपा नष्टौ हैका उपदिशन्ति सगरात्मजैरश्वन्वेषण इमं महिं परितो निखनाद्भिरुपकल्पितान् तन्यथा स्वर्णपृष्ठश्चन्द्रशुक्ल आवर्तिनो रमणको मन्दारहरिणः पञ्चजन्य सिंहलोलङ्केति. So if somebody can read the synonyms and translation, then we'll go to the next verse and then we'll do the discussion.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can read the synonyms. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued to speak. Jambudipasya, of the island known as Jambudipa, Cha also, Rajan, O king. Upadivan Astau, 8 subordinate islands, have certainly eke some. Upadishanti, learned scholars describe Sagara Atma Jai by the sons of Maharaja Sagara. Asha Anveshane, while trying to find their lost horse. Imam, this Mahim, tract of land. Parita, all around. Nikan Devihi, digging. Upakalpitam, created, thought that, yatha, as follows. Sharna Prastha, Chandra Shuklaha, Chandra Shukla, Avatarana, Rimanaka, Mandara Harina, Panchajanna, Simhala, Lanka, Iti, Das. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, translation, somebody?
May I, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sukdev Goswami said, my dear king, in the opinion of some learned scholars, 8 smaller islands surround Jambudvip. When the sons of Maharaj Sagar were searching all over the world for their lost horse, they dug up the earth, and in this way 8 adjoining islands came into existence. The names of these islands are Swarna, Prastha, Chandra, Shukal, Avartan, Ramanak, Mandara Harina, Panchajanya, Simhala, and Lanka. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Next one.
Perfect.
एवं तव भारतोत्तमा जम्बूद्वीपवर्ष विभागो यथोपदेशम् उपवर्णित इति. Okay, somebody else can do the synonyms.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I am reading it.
Thank you.
Evam das tabo unto you, Bharatuttama, O best of the descendants of Bharata, Jambudvipa Varsha, Bihagha, the divisions of the islands of Jambudvipa, Yatha Upadesham, as much as I am instructed by the authorities, Upavarnitaha, explained, Iti das. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
And somebody can read the translation, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear King Parikshit, O best of the descendants of Bharat Maharaj, I have thus described to you, as I myself have been instructed, the island of Bharatavarsha and its adjoining islands. These are the islands that constitute Jambudvipa. Haripur.
Krishna, thank you very much. I'll just go back to the previous one. Yeah, there's a small purport. Somebody else would like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, ma'am.
In the Kurma Puran, there is this statement about the desires of the demigods. Anudhikari devaha swargastha bharatodbhavam vanchati atma vimukshartha mudrekarthe odhikarinaha. Although the demigods are situated in exalted positions in the heavenly planets, they nevertheless desire to descend to the land of Bharatvarsha on the planet Earth. This indicates that even the demigods are unfit to reside in Bharatvarsha. Therefore, if persons already born in Bharatvarsha live like cats and dogs, not taking full advantage of their birth in this land, they are certainly unfortunate. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna. So these are the final three verses of this chapter, chapter 19, which is obviously the description of the islands of Jambudvip. So here is the conclusion of the glorification of Bharatvarsh. So we saw before how the Devatas, they were glorifying Bharatvarsh. And now Shukadev Goswami in these two verses, in fact the three verses, 29, 30, 31, Shukadev Goswami is concluding the aspect of the glories of Bharatvarsh based on what the Devatas have already confirmed before. So it is a conclusion for Maharaj Parikshit. So here there's a very interesting aspect of how there are these 8 islands that got created. So the verse is saying, Upadvipan Ashtav. Ashtav means 8, and Upadvip means subordinate, means sub-islands. So this Jambudvip itself is a dweep, is an island. Now within Jambudvip there are subordinate islands. There are smaller islands within that. So they got created, right? And how did they get created is being mentioned here. So it is how did it get created, or how do we know that it got created? So Sukhdev Goswami says that Upadishanti means from learned persons. As we understand, our guiding light in our life, whether it's material or whether it's spiritual. In fact, for a devotee who is a serious practitioner and who has come to a certain level of purification, there is nothing called material in a devotee's life. A devotee's life is all spiritual. even though he may be doing apparently material activities, like how we read in Prabhupada Leelamrita today, for Prabhupada there was nothing material. Everything was spiritual, whether he was dealing with money or he was dealing with contractors, he was dealing with materialistic people. Everything was for Krishna, everything was spiritualized. So for devotees, the guiding light is Guru Sadhu Shastra. So here Upadishanti is sadhu or learned scholars. Here it is described. Here Shukadev Goswami says that in the opinion of some of the learned scholars, what happened? 8 of these sub-islands got created. How? Sagarat Majair. Sagarat. So Maharaj Sagar. Maharaj Sagar. He, Atmajair, means his sons. His sons, what did they do? Ashwan Veshana. Ashwan Veshana is they tried to find the lost horse. So the sons of Sagar, so Sagar Atmajai is the sons of Sagar. They went to find the horses, the missing horse of the sacrifice. Right? And by trying to find the missing horse, what did they do? Nikhanad Bhi. So this word is Nikhanad Bhir. So they dug the earth. So they dug the tract of land in Jambudip. And we all know this story, but since it's mentioned here, I thought I'll just give a brief description of the story. So those of you know, you will relish it. Those of you who are not very familiar, it will be some good information for you as well. So we understand from Bhagavatam, in fact, the story of Maharaj Sagar and his sons is going to come in, anybody knows which canto? Any guesses? The story of Maharaj Sagar and Bhagirath, how Ganga actually came down into the tract of Bharatvarsh. We did the diagrammatic study in this chapter, but the description, the details is there in the subsequent part of Bhagavatam. So that is Canto 9. In Canto 9, Chapter 8, this pastime is described in more detail. So just to give a bit of an idea, so there was this king, Bahuka. So he was disturbed by his enemies a lot. So what did he do? He went to the forest with his wife to escape being disturbed by the enemies. And in the forest, unfortunately, he gave up his body. And his wife, the queen, she wanted to accept the process of sati, which is she also wanted to give up her life heir with the husband on the same funeral pyre. But there was a sage called Aurva who realized that the queen is actually pregnant and a pregnant woman cannot give up her body. So he forbade her to commit sati. But the king had other wives as well. And somehow or the other, because she was pregnant, they were a bit envious and jealous of her. So they gave her poison and she gave up her body. But somehow, before giving up her body, she managed to give birth to the son, to a son. So this son was born in spite of being administered poison. So while he was in the womb, he was given poison, means the mother was given. So he also was in effect with the poison. And although he was with the poison, he was born. So his name was Sagara. Sa is with and Gara is poison. So his name was Sagara. So that Maharaj Sagar, eventually he became the king. And he took instructions from this sage, Aurva, and he ruled his kingdom very nicely. It is said that he reformed many of the barbaric tribes and clans. So when people are leading a very demonic life, uncivilized way of life, then they need to be either reformed or they need to be banished. And if they are into criminal activities, or they deserve to be killed based on the laws. So he had, in his kingdom, he had a lot of these barbaric tribes. So instead of killing them for their sinful activities, he reformed them, and they eventually became good citizens even in that kingdom. So they gave up their sinful activities and they became good citizens. And thereafter, Maharaj Sagar was instructed by sage Aurva to perform a Ashwamedha Yajna. So in the Ashwamedha Yajna, obviously, as we know, the horse, it's a horse that needs to be worship, that needs to be part of the ceremony. And this horse, along with the king's soldiers, they travel, the horse travels as it wishes all over the globe. And whoever is able to challenge the horse and defeat the king's army, they can challenge and have a fight, have a war, or they accept the supremacy of the king who is sending the horse, whose horse it is. So if they do not stop it, that means they accept the supremacy. And like that, the king becomes like an emperor of the whole planet. We know how Ram also conducted a similar Ashwamedha Yajna. Yudhishthir had conducted a Ashwamedha Yajna. So it is not as per the whims and fancies, let's do a yajna. It is as per the instructions of the spiritual master, of the acting Purohit of the kingdom. So anyway, as has happened before in the case of Maharaj Chitraketu, we have read. Here also, Maharaj Sagar, he had performed many sacrifices, and this was apparently, some say it was the 100th. And as soon as somebody performs the 100th horse sacrifice, one person who is one of the topmost rulers of a very, very highly elevated planet, he becomes very, very flustered. And we all know who that person is, that personality is. Favored by Vishnu, but does get very, very fearful when somebody performs the 100th yajna. So just like he did to Chitraketu, he also stole this horse of Maharaj Sagar, and he stole it, and then he took it to the ashram of Kapil Muni, Kapil Dev, who we hear in Canto 3, the instructions he gave to his mother Devahuti. So he hid the horse over there next to the ashram. So when the horse was not to be found, the soldiers reported back to Maharaj Sagar, and Maharaj Sagar then sent his sons. How many sons? 60,000 sons. So they all went all over the earth to find. They couldn't find. So they thought, okay, we'll go to the netherlands, the nether regions, the inside the earth, and see whether they have hidden there. So to find the horse, they dug the earth. And after digging the earth, they finally came to the ashram of Kapil Muni. And there they saw the horse was tied to his ashram, and Kapil Muni was in deep meditation. So these sons of Sagar, they were obviously in the mode of passion, and they got very angry that this is the culprit. He has stolen the horse, and now he's acting as if he's meditating. So he may be not a real sage. He's the actual thief. So thinking like that, they raised their weapons, and they were about to attack Kapil Muni. So the common or the more popular understanding is that as soon as they did that, Kapil Muni opened his eyes, and out of anger, from his eyes emerged a fire that completely burned to ashes all the 60,000 sons. But as per Bhagavatam, that is not right, because Kapil Muni can never be under the influence of the mode of passion, which gives rise to anger. He was a transcendental goodness, so he could not be angry. So he did open his eyes, but because the 60, and he did nothing, he didn't counteract. He just opened his eyes, saw that they are about to attack him with weapons and kill him. But because these 60,000 sons, they were offending a very, very elevated personality, because of that offense and the intent to do something so heinous, so offensive, that just on account of that activity, the fire engulfed their own. As soon as they tried to do that, as a counteraction, in their own body, the own fire, it generated into a big fire in their own bodies, and they died out of their own accord. So the fire came out from their own bodies, and they burned them into complete ashes. So 60,000 sons were lying down in the form of ashes in front of Kapil Muni's ashram. And then, of course, because they didn't come back, Maharaj Sagar was a bit worried what's going on. And Anshuman, who was one of the son of Sagar Maharaj, I think he was son of Asamanjas. And so he tried to search, and he finally got to the point where he saw the ashram, he saw the Muni, and he asked about the whereabouts. And the Muni said that he narrated what had happened, and he said that these are the ashes. So he said that, okay, how will I ensure that I'm able to deliver these, my ancestors? So that's when Kapil Muni mentioned that they can only be delivered if Mother Ganges can, they can be delivered only through the medium of Mother Ganga. So Ganga has to come here. So that's when he started doing a meditation, but somehow he couldn't complete. So then his son, Maharaj Dilip, he continued the endeavor to get Ganga to the earth planet, to Bharatvarsh. He was also not able to achieve that in his lifetime. And then his son, Maharaj Bhagirath, finally, he was successful, and on his request, Ganga actually agreed to appear. But she said that my force from the heavenly planet will be so heavy and intense that the earth planet may not stay in orbit. So you do something about it. And that's when he approached Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva agreed to accept Ganga, who comes from the toenail of Vishnu on his forehead, on his jata, and so stop the pressure of Ganga from causing adverse effects on earth planet. And then he slowly released Ganga to flow. So that's how this whole thing happened. And this how Ganga came, and how he for Ganga, she went through the ashram of another Muni, Jannu Muni, is also described. So that particular pastime will be described in the Navadvip Mandal Parikrama on 21st of this month, which is this Saturday. So I'm sure all of you have got this information, but I'm personally inviting you on 21st Saturday from 12:30 p.m. We have the Navadvip Mandal Parikrama at the farm, at the temple, where we'll have the different pastimes of different islands of Navadvip. And in the island of Jannudvip, we will listen, or we'll hear more about this pastime of how Ganga appeared, and how she went through the ashram of Jannu Muni, and something drastic happened over there. So if you want to know more, please come and attend. Anyway, so after all that happened, Bhagirath did Tarpan, and apparently he did Tarpan on the Makar Sankranti day. And finally, those 60,000 sons of Maharaj Sagar, they were delivered. So this is the story. And because they did, they were searching and they dug up the earth, all these 8 islands got created. So that's what Shukadeva Goswami is saying, that these islands were created because of this king, or the sons of this Maharaj Sagar, digging up the earth. So that was the first one. And then in the last verse, Shukadeva Goswami is concluding by what? What is he saying? That, my dear Parikshit, King Parikshit, O best of the descendants of Bharat Maharaj, I have thus described to you as I myself have been instructed. The island of Bharatvarsh and its adjoining islands, these are the islands that constitute Jambudvip. So an interesting aspect here that we know, although Parikshit Maharaj is hearing from Shukadev Goswami, which is the first formal narration of Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami is the original speaker, formal speaker. Of course, we know before that Shivji had spoken. And subsequent to Shukadev Goswami, Suta Goswami speaks, which is how the Bhagavatam starts in the first place in Canto 1. So here, Shukadev Goswami is saying that I have described to you as I have myself been instructed. So whoever is the speaker of Bhagavatam has to hear. So it is not something that can be speculated or something that can be mentioned based on what somebody thinks or feels. This is a very, very important point. So even Shukadev Goswami was speaking what he had heard. And for us also, it is very, very, very important. So this concludes the whole glorification of Bharatvarsh, which is part of Jambudeep and the 8 subsequent islands. And I thought it's good for us to take this opportunity to understand the glory of Bharatvarsh, which we are in. We are fortunate to be born in. And one misconception that was obviously tackled by the previous speakers as well, but I thought I should emphasize on this, is Bharatvarsh does not just mean that land of India. It is not just that. India, of course, is the epicenter. So just like, you've got this big piece of land, the epicenter is the most important. It's the heart. Like the body has the heart. Heart is the most important. But it doesn't mean that my hand is not part of the body. The head is not part of the body. It's all part of the body, but heart is the center. So similarly, Bharatvarsh means the planet Earth. So if you see in the 14 planetary systems, it is called Bhumandal. So it is the Earth planet. So this whole planet is referred to as Bhumandal or Bharatvarsh. And in this planet, the land of Bharat is the center, epicenter, the heart. So that's why all the incarnations of the Lord, most of the empowered beings, the Satyavesha avatars, they all appeared in the tract of India or Bharatvarsh. But actually, this whole planet is Bharatvarsh. So it is not that because in New Zealand we are staying away from Bharatvarsh, we are not part of Bharatvarsh. We are. So that is one aspect from a geographical and location perspective. But most importantly, what I wanted to emphasize today, amongst all the devotees assembled here, is an interesting aspect. So all these devatas, they are saying something. All the Vedas are saying something that is also confirmed by the other followers of other religions. And what is that? So what do Vedas say? Traigunya Vishaya Veda. So this whole Vedas, they deal with the 3 modes, and by following the Vedic injunctions, human beings or civilized human beings are given better facilities for sense gratification. How? By sending them to Swargalok. So in principle, the majority of the followers, the real followers, not the speculators, the real followers of the Vedas, they are following the Vedas. Why? So that they can get better quality of sense gratification by going to, not here. Here you can't get good quality. Here everything is inferior. And as time is passing by, everything is getting more inferior. So to get good quality of sense gratification, we have to go to Swargalok. So the destination of majority of people who are trying to follow the Vedas for material benefit is to ultimately go to Swargalok. Similarly, other religions have a very similar concept. So the people who are Mohammedans, they talk about it as Jannat. Christians, they talk about it as heavens. Right? So it's a very common aspect that is pervading all religions, that here you do good things, you do pious activities, you become a good person. Why? So that you can go to heaven, heavenly planets. So that's interesting, right? So somebody who is not aware of the process of bhakti, for that person to go to Swargalok because and do pious activities is the goal of life. After that, what happens? They don't know. They are going to Swarg to enjoy. That's it. Nobody else can give you an idea. If they say, if you ask them, you're going to Swarg, that is good. How long will you stay? They have no idea. What happens in Swarga? No idea. Just enjoy. So that is majority. It's only when we come to the process of bhakti that we are given a complete idea of the Vedas, complete idea of Swargalok, complete idea of the 14 planetary systems, complete idea of the material world, spiritual world, and most importantly, only in the process of bhakti, our acharyas have given us the goal of life. What is the goal of human existence? So very few other paths, they talk about that ultimate goal. So all of this is very important. Now, interestingly, in the conclusion of the demigods in this chapter, the Devatas, what are they saying? In fact, even in this purport, the 29:30 that we read, Prabhupada, he quotes this verse from Kurma Puran. And the translation is that although the demigods are situated in exalted positions as heavenly planets, they nevertheless desire to descend on Bharatvarsh. Right? So people, inhabitants of Bharatvarsh, they desire what? To go to Swargalok. But the residents of Swargalok, what is their desire? To come to Bharatvarsh. Interesting, isn't it? Ironical. Just like people who are residents of Mayapur currently, most of, not all, but most, quite a lot of them, they want to go out of Mayapur into a foreign country so that they can get better, they can earn more money, have a better lifestyle. Yeah. And people who are here, who have found the process of bhakti, they desire that, oh my God, it's enough. I've earned enough money, house, this, that, too much trouble, too many things. Let me forget everything and let me just go and settle in Mayapur or Vrindavan, or Jagannath. That's it. I want to go and settle there. So the people who are here, they are desiring to go to the Dham. And the people who are in the Dham, they are desiring to go to a place outside of the Dham, more materially advanced. So we see that here. So similarly, residents of Bharatvarsh and Swargalok also, they are also having interchanging desires. So they always find the other side is better. Right. So the demigods, just I thought it's good to understand their parts and concepts of something that has already been discussed in the previous verses. But since we are at the conclusion, it's good to extract some of the very important aspects. So first thing is, why Bharatvarsh is so glorious? So I've got 5 points. So this is just an extract of all the glorification that has happened in this chapter so far. So why Bharatvarsh is so glorious? Although we are residents of Bharatvarsh, we do not understand the value. We do not appreciate Bharatvarsh. Just like we have been given the process of chanting of the holy name, the Mahamantra, the Japa. But we do not actually value the importance of Japa, to be honest. Hand on heart, if all of us think, we are chanting, maybe mechanically, maybe with some feeling, maybe with desire to chant, with different stages, different devotees are. But most of the times, or most of the people, they take it for granted. Oh, it's okay. I have to just chant and get over with it. I'll just finish it off. Even sometimes when people are doing Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, they just say, oh, let me just finish it off. So Bhakti is not to just finish off and do something else. Bhakti is what we aspire for. On these 5 points to give us more appreciation that Krishna has placed us in such a wonderful condition and has given us such wonderful association. So first of the 5. First is The highest perfection of life can be attained in the shortest possible time. I repeat that. The highest perfection of life can be attained in the shortest possible time and shortest possible lifespan to attain Vaikuntha Loka or Golok. Only in Bharatvarsh you've got that facility. Highest perfection, shortest time. We want everything fast, right? So we are in a place where we can do it the fastest possible way. Are we aware? Number two, must have executed pious activities in the past. That's why we have taken birth in the planet of Bharatvarsh. Definite. And more so, we have done a lot more pious activities, not just to take birth in Bharatvarsh, but to come in association with devotees. That is like double. So we have done pious activities. Definite. That's number two. Number three, we get the opportunity in Bharatvarsh to hear the Lord's activities and to participate in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan Yajna, which is there only in Bharatvarsh. This has been repeated elsewhere also in Bhagavatam. So we are very fortunate. So just because we have the opportunity to hear Bhagavatam every morning and read Bhagavatam at home and engage in Harinam or chant the holy name, it is not an ordinary activity. It is not like a normal ritual that others are following. We are also following. No. I mean, others are not doing this, but they're doing other activities. For us, this is also an activity. Different from others, but we are not giving it that importance and not feeling that gratefulness in our heart. We should feel grateful that I'm so fortunate in the heart, not just to tell. So this is a very, very important aspect. 3. Number 4, this place is the perfect place to execute bhakti. So in spite of all the challenges, all the problems that we are facing on a day-to-day basis, and it will obviously become more aggravated as Kali Yuga progresses, but this is still the perfect place to execute bhakti. And remember the Lord's lotus feet. This is the place, Bharatvarsh. That's number 4. And number 5, most important, is the Lord himself when he appears only in Bharatvarsh. And he expands the good fortune of this planet. So 5 things, 5 glorifications that the Devatas give to say or to state that residents of Bharatvarsh are so very, very fortunate. Right? And why are they having this desire? Because although they have a higher sense of level of sense gratification, although they know more about the Supreme Lord, but they are actually unfit to reside in Bharatvarsh. They can reside in Swargalok, but they can't come to Bharatvarsh. They only desire. Just like we may say that, oh, we are not fit to go to Swargalok. Why? Because we are so sinful. Our activities are so sinful. If it was a question of everybody doing pious activities, then maybe we could. But there are also ifs and buts there. So for them to come to Bharatvarsh is not easy. Why? Because they have not committed enough pious activities. They might have committed in the past to have taken them to Swargalok, but somehow they feel that the amount of piety is not enough for them to come to Bharatvarsh. So they are having the desire in a bit of lamentation as well that, oh, we are not able to take birth in Bharatvarsh. And so their desire is to descend. So they have gone to a higher planet, but they want to come down. Why? Because of these reasons. So if people who are born in Bharatvarsh, they don't take advantage, then what can be done? What can be said? Again, like the last time we did, Shrama eva hi kevalam. So we all know this verse, right? Everybody memorized it. Everybody knows it by heart. Which verse is that? Bharat bhumite hoilo manusya janmo jar. Janmo sarthaka kori koro paro upakar. We all know this. But are we trying to live this verse? This is important. That Bharat bhumite hoilo manusya janmo jar. A person who has taken the body of a human being on this planet Earth, he has got a duty, he has got a responsibility Otherwise, we'll just be just like a Brahman's son just becomes a Brahman by name. Just because he is in a Brahman family, people consider him a Brahmana and he feels he's a Brahmana, although he doesn't have any qualification of a Brahmana. So we should not be like them, that we are born in Bharatvarsh, we understand the glories of Bharatvarsh, but our activities are not fit for somebody who is in Bharatvarsh. So the second line of this verse is very important. Just being born is not important. Second line is what? Janmo sarthaka kori. We have to make this birth meaningful. We have to take up that responsibility because of us being born in this planet. And what is that responsibility? Karo paro upakar. That we have to engage in the ultimate welfare of all living entities. And how do we do that? How do we do that? It is given. We all know that. Krishna says, Etava janma safalyam dehinam iha dehishu pranair arthir dhiya vacha shreya acharanam sada. In 10th canto, Krishna says that we have to perform welfare activities. Shreya acharanam. And etava janma safalyam, that you have to make your life successful by devoting the assets that Krishna has given you in the form of this body. And what are these assets? Pranair arthair dhiya. Give your life to Krishna. If you can't give your life to Krishna, give your money to Krishna. If you can't give your money to Krishna, give your intelligence to Krishna. If you can't give your intelligence to Krishna, at least give your vacha. At least glorify Krishna. At least spread the message of Krishna to the living entities. Why? So that their life can get transformed. So the best welfare activity is not to give some charity and improve them temporarily. The best welfare activity is to give them a lifestyle, a transformation in their lives where they get eternal benefit. That's why it's highest welfare activity. But to give them that, we need to have that. Na? If we don't have something, how can we give? How can we create welfare of others when we ourselves are not fulfilled? We don't have it ourselves. So if we are giving them a transformation of their life, giving them the communication, the message of the Supreme Lord, and we have to transform our life first. Not that we are not doing, we are in the process of doing it. But these verses, they give us appreciation, they give us gratitude, and they give us the impetus that although we are following the process of bhakti, we need to become more serious. We need to become more sincere. We may be chanting 16 rounds, but are we constantly endeavoring to chant in a better way? Right? So this is something that is very important. Our sadhana must be very strong. We must do our 16 rounds in the best possible way. Of course, within our limitations, but we must aspire to constantly do that. We must constantly improve our life in such a way that there is more Krishna conscious activities that come in our life. We're associating more with devotees, spending more time and transforming our life. So naturally, when our life is transformed, we are excited to share this message with others. So, as an initiative, I'll give an example of how devotees do that. A lot of devotees, they chant 16 rounds in their home. But we all know that, everybody has their own challenges. So, the Hamilton devotees under Suhrit Krishna Prabhu and Sita Mataji, they started a very nice Zoom online chanting group. Every single day, 7 days a week, from 4:30 to 6:30, anybody can come, join that group. Your video has to be on and audio mute, and people just chant. They just chant their 16 rounds. So for people who are chanting 16 rounds, it puts pressure on them that now I'm not alone. These devotees, senior exalted devotees are watching me. I better chant nicely. Not that you don't want to chant nicely, but it puts a nice transcendental pressure to improve your japa. And when we see so many people chanting, even if you feel a bit sleepy, you get very much awake and you're very enlivened. And then when you finish your 16 rounds early in the morning, imagine how nicely the day will proceed. Or at least we have the ability and the strength, the spiritual strength to face our life on a day-to-day basis. This is just an example. So if any of you are keen to join that group, please send a text to Sita Mataji. I'm sure she can accommodate more people. And it can be a very nice avenue where devotees come together and they just chant. They just chant the holy name and first thing in the morning. So best is improve our sadhana and spread the message. Spread the message either in the form of Bhakti Vriksha, Namahata, Harinam, prasad distribution, service, any opportunities. We should constantly look for opportunities whereby we are able to deliver the message of the Lord as long as we are strong. So, if we really want to do welfare activities, two things we should keep in mind, and this is what I want to leave you today with. Two things keep in mind. First, constantly improve our sadhana. We should look for opportunities. How can I do better? How can I do better? How can I do better? Every single day, we should think, what can I do better today? Second, we look for opportunities. I am born in the land of Bharatvarsh. It is my responsibility to spread the message. How can I make the most of this opportunity to deliver this message of Lord to others and make their life successful and my life successful? And that is the golden process that Srila Prabhupada has given us. If it was not for Prabhupada, our life, our birth in the land of Bharatvarsh would have been completely wasted. Shrama evahi kevalam. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bharat Bhumi ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All right. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the election. I really liked your comparison of how people travel through the earth, even without having some spiritual knowledge. People look for some better place, and you mentioned that even in Mayapur, people are looking for some material advantages and traveling to more rich countries. And I was thinking that it's actually one of the biggest problems of human being, that we do not appreciate what we have, and we're always trying to find something better. But I was going to ask you, does it rely on the spiritual development level of the person? That, I mean, this skill to appreciate what we have, it definitely cannot evolve without having some spiritual advancement, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, Mataji, very, very interesting and important point to understand. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it all comes down to association. So if we have the association of the right people, they will ensure that we are at the right place at the right time. So that's why Mahaprabhu also, out of the 64 items of bhakti, devotional service, first item is what? Sadhu Sangha. So if we have the right association, we will have the right attitude and that right sense of gratefulness, and we'll appreciate better what we already have. So it's association, Mataji. Association with the like-minded, sincere devotees of the Lord is extremely important.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Krishna. Okay, any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Thank you very much for, as usual, very nice class today, and particularly speaking about the importance of life in Bharatvarsha. And as you mentioned, we have to understand the importance of it, and only when we understand that what is our what facility we have got, and when we realize it, then the responsibility of doing automatically comes. And as you have mentioned, five qualities, I mean, five opportunities that is given in the people of Bharatvarsha. So if we have to make human life perfect, then we have to utilize all these facilities, because these facilities we have automatically got it because of our previous bhakti or devotional service we did in previous lives. So we have to make best use of it and should not allow it to driven away by material attachment. And those who are in ISKCON, they have already got the opportunity one step advance, and in an advanced stage, in other words, because we are already doing it. And if we perfectly do it, then we can make our life perfect. And the second part would be to help others also, so that they can make their life perfect. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is stressing upon, that your own perfection is not enough. You have to do enough for others as well. And that is the message of this verse. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Just I'm thinking about that Ganga Sagar Mela in the Bengal.
Yes.
So how it's connect with Sagar Muni, Sagar Maharaj San and Kopil Muni's ashram is also there. And so means thousands and million people goes for Makar Sankranti for take bath.
Yeah, so that's the day Ganga appeared. So it's celebrated as the Ganga Sagar Mela currently. So that's the day she hit the surface of the earth, and the sons of Maharaj Sagar were delivered. So that is commemorated there. I think it's my understanding, is the Ganga Sagar Mela.
So it's a real place.
Sorry?
So is it that same place from that Sagar?
Oh, you mean where she actually appeared?
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure about that, whether that was a point she came, but you can imagine if she's falling from Lord Shiva's jata, it may be all over the planet. So no, I don't know whether it was exactly that place or not. It might have been, but I know that it was definitely that day that she appeared.
Space, yes, famous place. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, any other? Okay, Prabhu, I think that's us then.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it appears there is no other person to make any question or comment. So the class may be concluded. Thank you once again for your very nice class. And
Thank you very much to all the assembled
expecting
Vaishnavas.
association again in future. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhascha
Patitana Pavane Ananta Koti Jai.
Jai Shri
Jai.
Prabhupada, Jai Gaur Premanande,
Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
all glories to assembled devotees.
Hari
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Sadhu Sangha ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai.